It's time for the podcast. Yeah, the podcast is starting.
What's a podcast?
It's all gonna be alright in the end. It's gonna be alright. And if you've got some worries, my dear little friends, please rest your busy minds, because it's finally time for stories from now and then.
Hey kids, welcome back to Stories from Now and Then. My name is Captain Blunderface, and I'm sitting in the nautical section of the old library, which mostly means that these books smell faintly like old seaweed. Deprecatus is here too. He's currently sitting on a book about whales. What's that, Deprecatus? No, I still don't know why my name is Captain Blunderface. I've checked all of the ship's logs, and it's still a mystery. Before we dive in, today's shout out goes to Goldie in London, Ontario, who loves playing in the sand with her cousins at the beach. Goldie, this story is for you. Oh, and we just got a message from our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by Guest Getter. They help restaurants bring in guests and keep them coming back, which is great because I personally forget where I'd like to eat unless someone reminds me. Guest Getter helps restaurants do that, but on purpose. Check them out at guestgetter.co. All right, today's story is how the whale got his throat. Nicola, please take it from here.
Hello there, and welcome to Storytime. My name is Nicola, and I'll be reading you a story today written many years ago by a man called Rudyard Kipling. It's about a whale and a fish and a man. And there are some funny old words in it. If you've never heard this word before, suspenders. They're like long, stretchy straps that people clip onto their trousers and put over their shoulders to hold their trousers up. So, when you hear the word suspenders in the story, you'll know that's what I'm talking about. Okay, shall we get started? This story is called How the Whale Got His Throat. In the sea, once upon a time, O my best beloved, there was a whale, and he ate fishes. He ate the starfish and the garfish, and the crab and the dab, and the plaice and the dace, and the skate and his mate, and the mackerel and the pickerel, and the really truly twirly-whirly eel. All the fishes he could find in all the sea he ate with his mouth. It's true. Till at last there was only one small fish left in all the sea, and he was a small 'stute fish, and he swam a little behind the whale's right ear, so as to be out of harm's way. Then the whale stood up on his tail and said, "I'm hungry." And the small 'stute fish said, in a small 'stute voice, "Noble and generous cetacean, have you ever tasted man?" "No," said the whale. "What is it like?" "Nice," said the small 'stute fish. "Nice, but nubbly." "Then fetch me some," said the whale, and he made the sea froth up with his tail. "One at a time is enough," said the 'stute fish. "If you swim to latitude 50 north, longitude 40 west, that is magic. You will find, sitting on a raft in the middle of the sea with nothing on but a pair of blue canvas trousers, a pair of suspenders," you must not forget the suspenders, best beloved, "and a jackknife, one shipwrecked mariner who, it is only fair to tell you, is a man of infinite resource and sagacity." So the whale swam and swam to latitude 50 north, longitude 40 west, as fast as he could swim, and on a raft, in the middle of the sea, with nothing to wear except a pair of blue canvas trousers, a pair of suspenders, you must particularly remember the suspenders, best beloved, and a jackknife, he found one single, solitary, shipwrecked mariner, which is another word for a sailor, putting his toes in the water. He had his mummy's permission to put his toes in the water, or else he would never have done it, because he was a man of infinite resource and sagacity. And sagacity is another word for wisdom. Then the whale opened his mouth back and back and back till it nearly touched his tail, and he swallowed the shipwrecked mariner, and the raft he was sitting on, and his blue canvas trousers, and the suspenders, which you must not forget, and the jackknife. He swallowed them all down into his warm, dark inside cupboards, and then he smacked his lips, so, and turned round 3 times on his tail. But as soon as the mariner, who was a man of infinite resource and sagacity, found himself truly inside the whale's warm, dark inside cupboards, he stumped and he jumped and he thumped and he bumped and he pranced and he danced and he banged and he clanged. And he hit and he bit and he leaped and he creeped and he prowled and he howled and he hopped and he dropped and he cried and he sighed and he crawled and he bawled and he stepped and he leapt and he danced hornpipes where he shouldn't, and the whale felt most unhappy indeed. Have you forgotten the suspenders? So he said to the 'stute fish, "This man is very nubbly, and besides, he is making me hiccup. What shall I do?" "Tell him to come out," said the 'stute fish. So the whale called down his own throat to the shipwrecked mariner, "Come out and behave yourself. I've got the hiccups." "Nay, nay," said the mariner, "not so, but far otherwise. Take me to my natal shore and the white cliffs of Albion, and I'll think about it." And he began to dance more than ever. "You had better take him home," said the 'stute fish to the whale. "I ought to have warned you that he is a man of infinite resource and sagacity." So the whale swam and swam and swam, with both flippers and his tail, as hard as he could for the hiccups. And at last he saw the mariner's natal shore and the white cliffs of Albion, and he rushed halfway up the beach, and he opened his mouth wide and wide and wide and said, "Change here for Winchester, Ashuelot, Nashua, Keene, and stations on the Fitchburg Road." And just as he said, "Fitch," the mariner walked out of his mouth. But while the whale had been swimming, the mariner, who was indeed a person of infinite resource and sagacity, had taken his jackknife and cut up the raft into a little square grating all running criss-cross, and he had tied it firm with his suspenders. Now you know why you were not to forget the suspenders. And he dragged that grating good and tight into the whale's throat, and there it stuck. Then he recited the following sloka, which is a type of poem, and which, as you have not heard it, I will now proceed to relate. "By means of a grating, I have stopped your ating." For the mariner pronounced eating like ating. And he stepped out onto the shore and went home to his mother, who had given him permission to put his toes in the water. And he lived happily ever after. And so did the whale. But from that day on, the grating in his throat, which he could neither cough up nor swallow down, prevented him from eating anything except very, very small fish. And that is the reason why whales nowadays never eat men, or boys, or girls. The small 'stute fish went and hid himself in the mud under the door-sills of the equator. He was afraid that the whale might be angry with him. The sailor took the jackknife home. He was wearing the blue canvas trousers when he walked out onto the shore. The suspenders were left behind, you see, to tie the grating with. And that is the end of that story. Wasn't that a fun story? I hope you enjoyed it. One of my favourite parts and favourite lessons from it is that sometimes you have to get creative with what you have. The man on the raft didn't have much. He had his suspenders and his trousers and a knife, but he used what he had to make the grate over the whale's throat so that the whale could never again eat all the fish in the sea or swallow men on rafts. It was a really clever thing to do, and I hope you remember, if there are moments where you feel you don't have the right tools, sometimes you can just get creative.
Thanks, Nicola. Deprecatus is now curled up inside an atlas. He's using the Pacific Ocean as a pillow. Remember, if you want a shout out, just get your parents to DM us on Instagram at Stories From Now and Then. Stories From Now and Then is narrated by Nicola Ward, music written by Captain Blunderface, and Captain Blunderface is played by Evan Wiebe. Stay cozy, and we'll see you next time on
Stories from now and then.